Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Woodstock City Council, July 9th, 2026. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes pages of the city's website. And we have nobody attending virtually this evening. We did have a closed session earlier that started at 6:30 this evening. So I'll call for any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Councillor Tate.
I, Councillor G. Tate, declare the following potential indirect pecuniary interest. Agenda item number 8B, subject matter Jim Usher, application for zone change, City of Woodstock. General nature of the interest, my son is employed by the contractor. And I, Councillor G. Tate, declare the following potential indirect pecuniary interest. Agenda item 9B, subject matter ZN 82611, application for zone change, City of Woodstock, 376 Universal Road. General nature of the interest, my son is employed by the contractor.
Thank you. Anyone else? I also had to declare a conflict tonight for the closed meeting. So I declare a conflict of interest for the closed session held on July 9th, 2026. With respect to agenda item 4.1, I'm also declaring an indirect pecuniary interest on agenda item 15A for the subject matter of Welcome Child and Youth Mental Wellness, Youth Creative Arts, and Wellness Studio proposal. And the general nature of my interest is my wife works for Welcome Child and Youth Mental Wellness. So I'll be asking Councillor Schattenberg to take the chair. Any matters arising from the minutes? Sorry, any disclosures of new business? I'm not aware of any. Seeing none. Matters arising from the minutes? And that brings us to the minutes. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on June 18th, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, we have additions to the agenda. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Leatherbarrow, that the following items be added to the agenda. Presentation item 7.B, Certificate of Distinction Presentation. Delegation item 8.B, Jim Escher, ZN 82611, application of zone change, City of Woodstock, 376 Universal Road. And delegation item 8C, Jeff Henry, OP 26038 and ZN 82602, application for official plan amendment and zone change 10012956663, Ontario Inc., 850 Juliana Drive.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. And tonight we have a couple of very exciting presentations. I'm going to come to the floor actually. But as I will call up members here in council chambers, and we'll probably get a photo with some family members as well as we go. So I'll call up each individually. So we're going to start with the Student Civic Award of Excellence. Well, of course, welcome everyone. We're here this evening to honor and congratulate 5 very deserving students from high schools across our amazing city. Tonight, we're going to be celebrating with Evan Krause from Woodstock Collegiate Institute, Maria Lil Edicu from École Secondaire Catholic Notre Dame, Gurleen Soni from College Avenue Secondary School, Jemina Tu from St. Mary's High School, and Cohen White from Huron Park Secondary School. These 5 young students have worked diligently throughout their high school careers to take top honors at their respective schools. They've excelled in their studies, but have also grown as individuals. They have learned through adversity that hard work and success come hand in hand. They have also learned the value of volunteerism and community service, giving them insight into the importance of helping others and the great personal rewards received by doing so. They're eager and prepared to take the next steps in their journey. In the fall of 2026, they will be attending their school and program of choice. Evan will be attending McMaster University in the civil engineer program. Maria Lell will be attending the University of Ottawa in the nursing program. Gerline will be attending the University of Waterloo in the physical science, medicinal chemistry program. Jamina will be attending the University of Toronto, St. George campus in the mathematical and physical science program. And Cohen will be attending Wilfrid Laurier University in the business program. And on the behalf of the Woodstock City Council and the citizens of Woodstock, I am very proud to present, and at this time, I would ask each student to come up. And we'll start with Evan Kraus. Evan, please come forward. You can come forward. Please come forward if you'd like to take photos. I don't forget to come back to the of course. Best of luck. Yeah, do you want to go in the back? No? Next up, I would welcome Maria Lil Educo, please. Congratulations. Gerline Sawney. Sabina Chu. Or Chu. And last but not least, Cohen White. Thank you. So I'd like to make sure and welcome all 5 of you back to school when you're done your studies and get a great career here in the city of Woodstock. We hope to see you back soon. Congratulations. And I should note there is a $1,000 check inside your envelope, so please don't throw that out. All right, next up, a very distinct honor here with us tonight with Mr. Brad Kovacic. Please come forward if you don't mind. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce, for those who do not know him, Mr. Brad Kovacic. Brad was born and raised in Woodstock. His hockey journey began as a young player playing junior hockey as a centerman with the Woodstock Navy Vets in the Provincial Junior Hockey League from 1989 to 1992. He began officiating minor hockey at the age of 12. His passion for officiating brought him to the OHL, where he worked as a linesman for 3 seasons, earning him the assignment of the 1996 Memorial Cup Final. His performance caught the attention of NHL scouts. On October 10th of 1996, he made his NHL debut and became a full-time linesman the following season. Brad went on to officiate nearly 2,000 NHL games, 200 Stanley Cup playoff games, and 5 Stanley Cup finals. He also officiated the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, also working the 2004 World Cup of Hockey, the 2008 Winter Classic, and the 2012 NHL All-Star Game. His career is a testament to professionalism, consistency, and excellence in one of the fastest and most demanding sports in the world. On behalf of council, I am proud to honor Brad Kovacic with a certificate of distinction for 30 years of dedication to the NHL. His accomplishments, both on and off the ice, have brought pride to our community and inspired those who have had the privilege of working alongside him. Brad has been kind enough to gift the city with one of his game-worn and signed NHL linesman jerseys, which will be installed at the Reeves Community Complex. Thank you for being here with us this evening. Congratulations on your well-earned retirement from the NHL and your new role with the Greater Ontario Hockey League as a referee-in-chief. Congratulations and thank you. Yeah, it's a big career. It's a big career. So before you leave, would like to give you that. I'm gonna. So this is the jersey you dropped off for us. Just have to get my microphone so those at home. This is a jersey that he dropped off for us. It's a signed game-worn jersey, and we will be proudly displaying this at the community complex, right in the front doors on the right-hand side when you walk inside. So thank you so much for this. Thank you for everything. You put Woodstock on the map, and we're proud to call you a Woodstonian. Congratulations. Thank you. Oh, you want to get a picture? Congratulations. Great to see you. We played football together, believe it or not. A few years ago. You stayed in a little better shape than I did. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We're not done yet. No, we're just going to let them. Okay, we have some delegations this evening. First, I'd like to welcome Christine Scrimger for the 2025 draft financial statements. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I think this is on, isn't it? That's good. Okay. This happens to me every year. The room clears before I go on. I'm starting to take it a little personally,
Don't
but
take
anyway.
offense. Don't take offense.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Scrimger. For those that don't know me, I'm the auditor for the city, and I'm presenting my draft financial statements, which are dated as of tonight's date, which hopefully they will be approved by council, which under Canadian auditing standards, those charged with governance would be this group. And once they are approved, we can finalize them, and then we start working on what's called your FIR, which is the document required by the province to meet their requirements on your financial information. And so I'll go through them page by page. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. Hopefully I'll explain them well. I can't see this very well from this stuff. There we go. So this is the auditor's opinion. So this is what we call in the auditing world a clean audit opinion, meaning that we did not find anything materially incorrect. And materiality for the city is set at a fairly high level, but we also do all transactions, or look at all transactions statistically and pick those and go through your revenue, your expenditures, and your payroll. And so having done all that work, we are issuing a clean opinion based on the results of that testing. So we'll get to, sorry, this is a little, there we go. So this is your consolidated balance sheet for the year. And so I'll just go through some, I've got notes on my statements here. So if I'm looking down, it's because I need my notes a little bit. So as you know, we always look at this net financial asset number right here. So that would be the amount of money you would have, the city would have in the bank at the end of the day if everybody paid you what they owed you and you paid off what you owed. And of course, that would never actually happen in any given time because of the long-term debt that's there. But seeing that number, so last year it was 88 million, this year it's 84, just under 85 million. And so very consistent to both years, and that's what I'm looking for, is making sure that that's staying in the consistent position. Everything below that line are the assets that you require to provide the services that your citizens require. And so you're obviously not going to be able to sell those and still provide your services. And so the next thing I look at is making sure that you've invested in your tangible capital assets at least equal to what's called amortization, which is the using up of those assets. And in fact, you invested in $29 million of new assets this year, offset by about 12 million of amortization. And so that's the net difference between the tangible capital assets, capital work in progress between the 2 years. Having said that, the major projects were the downtown revitalization, including Dundas Street, the Southgate Center, and the new engineering renovations. And so those are the main new assets, but there are significantly other, including $3 million of new just equipment and vehicles. And so all of that is included in that 29 million that I just mentioned. So those are all good indicators. You did take out new debt this year, so you'll see under net long-term liabilities, we received the money after the year end, but we accrued the debt that was spent up to the point that was spent at the end of December, and that's sitting in accounts receivable. So if you're wondering the large increase in accounts receivable, that's really the debt that came in of about $10 million, and then that's showing as a liability as well. So no net effect on your net financial assets that I mentioned was one of the indicators I'm looking at. All that to say, coming down to an accumulated surplus at the end of the year of 361 million versus 347 million last year. And as you can see, the majority of that is invested in capital assets. Any questions on that statement at all? Okay, I'll move on. The next statement is your consolidated statement of operations. Yeah, there we go. And this shows the budget for 2025. So this is the operating budget, not the capital budget. The operating budget for 2025 as approved by council compared to the actual 2025 results compared to the 2024 results. And so I'm just going to highlight a couple of the major differences between the years and budget. The first line that sort of pops out at you is that other line. And so in 2024, council will remember that we sold almost $30 million of our land held for resale. That was not the case in 2025. And so the large decrease from 2024 to 2025 is really that amount, and almost exactly that amount. We did budget for some of that, that we would sell some land or some of the land held for resale in 2025. And so that's why the budget is higher than the other. We did engage in some bylaws to sell some land, but the actual transactions did not close until 2026. And so that's why you're not seeing them in these financial statements. Under expenditures, I'll remind council that the budget does not include amortization. And so as I said on the balance sheet, the amortization is $12 million. And so if you take the budget for 2025 and add the $12 million, as well as there were some items in the capital budget that did not meet the capital threshold or the definition of capital, but were budgeted within the capital budget. And so those have also been added to the expenses in 2025. And so those plus the amortization is the difference between the budgeted expenditures and the actual expenditures. And so money was not overspent. It was just in those two areas. And those amounts were included in the capital budget, that $3 million of items that were expensed. So we come down to that excess of revenue over expenditures before other. Last year, if you remember, you see this number is quite a bit higher than it was this year. That is because of that land sale that land sales that I just mentioned, that $30 million. And so really what we want to see is that operating revenue is covering operating expenses plus amortization. And you can see there that we had about a $2.8 million differential there, which is what we want to see. We want to see what you're raising on taxes as well as your other revenue sources covering your operating expenses. And so that is what's happening there. Under other, those are items that fluctuate significantly from year to year, and those are things that are financing the capital projects. As well, this year there was the Building Faster Fund that we received from the government, higher levels of government, and that was put over into reserves to be spent in future years. And so it's included though in the government transfers related to capital because it was a one-time grant that was received. And so we don't want to show it as operations. We want to show it down below the line. Coming down to your excess of revenue over expenditures of 13 million. And again, compared to last year, it's really that net difference in the sale of land. Coming down to that accumulated surplus at the end of the year equal to what we saw on the balance sheet. Any questions at all on that? Okay, I'll keep going. The next statement is a consolidated statement of cash flows. This just shows your increases and decreases of the non-cash items on the balance sheet. And if you look at these numbers, I've really talked about the large dollars that you've seen here. The amortization of just about 12 million, as I've mentioned, the increase in accounts receivable, which is that new debt. And then all the capital activity, that 29 million, which would be the first two lines under capital activity. Again, I'm rounding it when I'm saying these things. And then the proceeds of the new debt, almost $10 million, offset by the repayments of the debt that was already in place. Coming down your cash balance at the end of the year, which equals the balance sheet that we just saw. And then the next statement is the statement of net financial assets. Again, this is just really drills down on what's happening in the capital assets. And the city did budget about 44 million. That was including to finish a lot of those projects that I mentioned when I started, again, because of different things that obviously we don't get everything done in the year that we anticipate. And that's why we had the WIP at the end of the work in progress at the end of the year. We then get to the notes to the financial statements. I won't go through every single note. I would like to draw council's attention to note number 10. This is where I need glasses for up close and not, oh, there we go. All right, this is the accumulated surplus. So you'll see there your operating surplus for the year was just over $2 million. Invested in capital assets is the majority of the surplus, as I mentioned before. We then have the post-retirement benefits. So those are benefits that we, in present day dollars, that we will have to pay out for retirees as they retire, mainly in the public or in the emergency services area. And then asset retirement obligations. Those are those buildings that have some asbestos that we will have to clean up at some point. Then the other indicator I'm always looking at is the reserves and the reserve funds, making sure. So we've invested an awful lot this year in capital, that 29 million. So I want to make sure that we haven't then depleted the reserves and reserve funds in doing that. And you can see here that they have stayed stable. The reserves are almost bang on what they were last year. And then the reserve funds have increased, but about 2 million of that increase is that Building Faster Fund. So they did increase by a small amount, about $2 million there. So overall, we have not depleted the reserves, and we've reinvested a significant amount in the year. At the back of the statements are two schedules. One is the breakdown of tangible capital assets by component. And then the last one is a segmented schedule, which breaks down all of the revenues and expenditures by the functions as defined by the FIR. So this is a segue between the our audited financial statements and the provincial request for an FIR. And that is my report on that statement. You also had in your package a trust fund financial statement. I won't spend a lot of time on that. If you remember, a couple of years back, we did some digging on we had a fair number of trust funds. We did some digging on making sure that those were actually trust funds, and brought some of them into reserve funds at that point in time, because they were more of that nature, and they did not have the definition of what a trust fund would be according to the province of Ontario. And so there's just 4 left this year, and there was very minor transactions on those trust funds in the year, some interest earned and about $500 of expenditures. So not a lot of activity in that. My last comments are going to be to the treasurer, and I want to thank her. I know she probably won't enjoy this, but it has been she and her staff have worked tirelessly to get us to this point. It's obviously been a year of transition, and she's done amazing. And with a payroll conversion thrown in just for fun and giggles, maybe not. Anyway, I just want to thank her and her staff for all their help in getting this to this point. And in a year when we've got a new treasurer, she's really stepped up, and thank you. And that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions overall? Seeing none. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do I need to
I am looking for a motion.
stop this?
Looking for a motion, Councillor Tate.
I'll move that the 2025 draft consolidated financial statements for the city of Woodstock and the 2025 City of Woodstock draft trust fund statement is prepared by Scriminger and Company CPA Professional Corporation and presented on July 9th, 2026 be approved.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion or questions of any staff? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. I'd also like to thank staff for working so hard, as well as our Scriminger and Company relationship working together. So thank you. Thank you. Next up, 8B, Jim Usher. This is in relation to ZN 8-26-11, an application for zone change for City of Woodstock, which is 376 Universal Road. Welcome.
I am Jim Usher, and just a bit of history. I bought 1268 Parkinson Road. And ever since I bought it, I've been trying to buy the land next to it. I tried to buy from the farmer, and I was told it was expropriated. So then moving forward, the county wanted to put the pump house in there, and we were at tons of these council meetings. And as part of that, to appease me, the land next to me was always promised to be joined to my property and never be built on because of the size, and the 2 catch basins and the swale that are in the adjoining property were put in to appease me for the flooding that I went through for many years till I had to hire my own guy. And the city did reimburse me. And I've asked the city to purchase that property many times. And the city said, no, don't worry. And I've heard this for over 20 years. Don't worry, it can't be built on. It can't be built on because of the size and the zoning. So then they went and did the sewers and the water. And I wanted to go to Universal because it's gravity, not pumped. And I was told they didn't bring the sewer down far enough, that I can't join it. But now with this going on, they're giving him a little more property so he can join the sewers. And all of a sudden the cities come with the idea that somebody can purchase it and build on it right away. And I don't understand how it could be sold as a viable lot when it's not. So now they're trying to get a zone change. And to me, that zone change should not go because it's not a viable lot size. And how would any of you like to be next to a lot that if they do rent it out, and then their tenants would be all over your property? Because I already have trouble with the business on the other side with water, trespassing, garbage. So I'm just not too happy. And dropping off 100 feet is a little extreme. So like, I don't understand how that's gonna be a viable property. And you can't show me anywhere else in the city where there's an existing one that's that small. And like, in summary, this is causing my property to be a little less valuable because everybody that's approached me to buy it wants that whole corner, including the pump house, and they'll never get the pump house. I get that. But I was promised when all that was done at the pump house, that was going to be temporary. And at the open house, I was asked if I was ever going to build on that property, Mark. And I'm never going to build on that property. I remain green and wetland, but I was going to build on my own property. And if that was joined, then that should appease the city for coverage. So we answered that wrong the other day, sorry. And I'd like to thank y'all from the time and my concerns, but you need to look at it from your own. If you were there and you had a property like that, and all of a sudden somebody wants to build on it and knocking off 100 feet on a zone, that's unheard of it. And to me, it's not a viable lot. I will be flooded, whether they promise the world like they did before. I had to hire my own company because in the end, the engineers said they were reading the maps wrong. And like, so I got no faith in the engineering or the drainage. So I would like the 2 catch basins and that swale to remain. If not, to me, we go back and you pull the pump house, because that was all part of the promise from the pump house. And I went to many of these meetings and was told that. And I've been told for 20-some years, don't worry, the property will never be built on without being joined to your property. That's about it. So thank you for your time and support.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Usher? Okay, well, thank you. No resolution is required as this refers to consideration of planning reports, item 9B. Next up, 8C, Jeff Henry for OP 26-03-8 and ZN 8-26-02 for application for official plan amendment and zone change for 850 Juliana Drive. Welcome.
Thank you for welcoming back, Mayor and Council. Good to be here again. Don't want to take up any of your time. Just wanted to make sure if you had any questions or concerns that had come up since Monday, we're here to be able to address them. And this is the only way we can do it, by coming up to the podium. I should also draw your attention to the back. I brought Steve Little with me. He was hiding on Monday down and still trying to have a vacation, but I brought him here tonight in case you all wanted to say anything nice to him or otherwise. But if you've got any questions, I'm here for it. Otherwise, happy to just wait.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Henry? Seeing none, so thank you. Yeah, so no resolutions also required as this refers to consideration of planning reports for item 9C. And that brings us to consideration of planning reports. So 9A, ZN 8-26-15, application for zone change for County of Oxford, which is County Road 4 between Tower Line Road and Dundas Street. Mr. Miller, welcome.
Good evening, council, staff, members of the public. ZN 8-26-15 in the name of the County of Oxford. The subject lands are described as part lots 11 and 12, concession 1, formerly in East Oxford. Parts 1 and 2, 41R, 3319, formerly in Norwich. The lands are located on the east side of Oxford Road 4 between Dundas Street and Parkinson Road and have no municipal address. The subject lands are currently designated traditional industrial, are currently zoned development, and are proposed to be rezoned to special general industrial M339. The application for zone change proposes to rezone the subject lands from development to special general industrial to provide consistent zoning over the entire subject lands. The County of Oxford has entered into an agreement to conditionally sell the lands to the abutting landowner to the south, and the proposed zone change is a condition of sale. Although owned by the county, the subject lands have been historically used and farmed by the adjacent property, and at this time, no new development is proposed. The subject lands are comprised of a strip of land adjacent to the CN rail line and are approximately 40 meters by 675 meters. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The subject lands are designated traditional industrial, and zoning them from D to M39 is consistent with the industrial designation. The proposed zone change and subsequent consolidation of the subject lands with the abutting property to the south will provide additional opportunities for industrial development with an industrially designated area in close proximity to the transportation routes. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the policies of the provincial planning statement, meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan respecting development within traditional industrial designation, and can be given favorable consideration. As such, staff recommend approval of the application.
Any questions of the planner? Counselor Shanberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through Mr. Miller, you'd explained this at the public meeting as well. But even though it's sort of a long and narrow piece of land, 6.1 acres, what benefit would it have to the overall property? Being that it's so close to the railway.
So through the chair, it does provide additional space for setbacks. There'll be a setback from the rail, so this spot is not necessarily likely to be built on, but provides additional spaces for setbacks from the building, things like that. It also provides additional areas for landscaped open spaces and other zone provisions that the applicant would be required to meet.
Thank you. Any other questions of the planner? Seeing none, look for a motion on the floor. Counselor Shanberg.
Make a motion that Woodstock City Council approve the application for zone change submitted by the County of Oxford for lands described as part lots 11 and 12, concession 1, formerly East Oxford, parts 1 and 2, 41R-3319, Norwich, and the city of Woodstock, to rezone the subject lands from Development Zone D to Special General Industrial Zone M3-39 to provide a consistent zoning with the lands they are intended to be merged with. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Counselor Leatherborough. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, I'd like the welcome the planner back for ZN 8-26-11, application for zone change for 376 Universal Road.
ZN 8-26-11 in the name of the city of Woodstock. The subject lands are described as Part Block 3, Plan 41M206, and Part 1 of Reference Plan 41R11008 in the city of Woodstock. The lands are located on the west side of Universal Drive between Parkinson Road and Commerce Way and have no municipal address. The subject lands are currently designated traditional industrial in the official plan, are currently zoned Special General Industrial M31, and are proposed to be rezoned to Special General Industrial M351. The application for zone change proposes to rezone the subject lands from Special General Industrial M31 to Special General Industrial Zone M351 to include a special provision provided to include the special provisions provided in the M31 zone, with the exception of an amended lot depth of 33 meters to reflect the existing lot shape. Minimum lot depth provisions are intended to ensure that sufficient space is provided for an adequate building envelope. The M31 zone establishes deeper than typical lot depth provisions at 60 meters. In comparison, the M3 zone establishes a minimum lot depth of 30 meters. Further, by comparison, the M31 zone requires a minimum lot frontage of 45 meters, and the M3 zone requires a minimum lot frontage of 20 meters. The subject lands are providing approximately 52 meters of frontage. Based on the increased frontage and continued conformity with the minimum M3 zone provisions, staff are satisfied that the reduced lot depth will have no negative impact on the subject lands or surrounding land uses. The applicant has provided a concept sketch showing how the site can be developed with the reduced lot depth. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan. The subject lands are designated traditional industrial, and the proposed zone change is not anticipated to have a negative impact on the subject lands or adjacent properties. The proposed zone change will provide additional opportunities for industrial development within an industrially designated area in close proximity to major transportation routes. Planning staff are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan respecting development within traditional industrial designation and can be given favorable consideration. As such, staff recommend approval of the application.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Counselor Schenberg?
Maybe not a question of the planner, but a question for economic development, if that's possible this time.
Okay, yeah, we'll,
Yeah, that or we could do a motion first, but
yeah, I would normally, yeah, let's hold off for motion.
Okay.
That's what we normally do. There's no motion on the floor yet, so. Any questions for the planner? I guess I do have one before you sit down. I just want to be clear that the applicant, and you did mention this, but to be clear to those watching at home, the applicant has submitted drawings and shown how the site can be used, and no clear concerns were brought forward by your staff.
That's right. So typically Wednesday mornings, planning, engineering, and building staff, we meet together and we go through whatever proposals come to us throughout that week. This was one of them. We've taken a look at it. It looks functional, meets all of the zone provisions with the exception of what they've requested, and shows a building that will fit on the site.
Okay, and then along those same lines, some water concerns. Of course, if there is any traps or anything will need to be changed and will be addressed through site plan approval.
That's right. Through the site plan control process, the application is circulated to all the relevant agencies, including County Public Works and City Engineering staff, who review to make sure that there is a functional servicing aspect to the plan, that grading and drainage is maintained, and that no additional water would go onto adjacent properties.
Okay, thank you for just clarifying. Looking for a motion on the floor? Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni, through you. That Woodstock City Council approve the application for zone change submitted by the City of Woodstock for lands described as Part Block 3, Plan 41M-206, Part 1, Plan 41R-11008 to the City of Woodstock to rezone the subject lands from Special General Industrial M31 to Special General Industrial Zone M3-51 to facilitate industrial development with a minimum lot depth of 33 meters. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Schattenberg. Discussion or questions? Counselor Schattenberg, would you like to ask your question?
yeah, first of all, for clarification point, this land is owned currently by the City of Woodstock and is part of the original Commerce Way sort of collection of properties, a collection of farmland. So my question therefore to Brad Hammond from the Economic Development Office is, based on Petulo, based on Woodall Way, based on this industrial subdivision area, what are sort of the parameters that somebody must have to be able to build on a property with a certain timetable?
Your worship, through to Councillor Schattenberg. So whenever the city sells a piece of industrial land, we use a very standard land sales agreement. So the 200 and some odd land sales that we've done since we got into the industrial land business would all look more or less the same. So the conditions that it includes is that you have to complete a industrial building of our current standard is 20% lot coverage within so many months of closing. And our current standard is within 30 months of closing, you have to complete an industrial building. So that's our standard. That's what everyone agrees to. There are other requirements in there too, in terms of facade treatment for the building. It's got to be a reasonably nice looking building. There's certain uses, despite what the zoning bylaw says, we still restrict within our sales agreement, things like a truck terminal that don't really yield out the land very well.
Thank you. No, unfortunately not. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Well, this, to Director, to Mr. Hammond. I am quite aware of discussions we've had over the years, so this is just more for the public watching at home. Discussions have been had by the delegation. Discussions were talked about options of purchasing the lands, themselves. Do you mind just elaborating on that briefly?
Yep, sure. So we did meet with Mr. Usher to try to come up with a solution that would at least satisfy some of his concerns. So, we did offer if he was prepared to buy it and put up an industrial building, we would sell the land that abuts his property to him. And at the time, he wasn't able to commit to that. So what we did do was that there's a strip of land, for those that have been out to Universal Road, we ended up dividing it into three parts. Two of the parts front or abut Mr. Usher's property rather, and the third part abuts a landlocked house that sits to the rear of Mr. Usher's property. So we've committed to whoever buys that landlocked house will sell the piece that's in front of that property that would give them access to Universal Road. There's the piece that council's agreed to sell that's the topic of this zone change discussion tonight. And we've left a third piece open that we've told Mr. Usher we will not sell that until his property's dealt with. So if Mr. Usher has someone that's interested in buying his property in the future, we'll gladly be part of that and commit to sell that land to an industrial developer. So I guess the key word there is it's got to be an industrial or commercial use that fits with generally within the industrial zoning.
And if I can put words in your mouth, that is to allow access to Universal Road as well. that
Exactly.
extra piece.
Mr. Usher's property right now is a residential property. So if it were to be sold and redeveloped in the future, there would be different standards that apply. Typically, the County of Oxford's County Road, Parkinson Road, they prefer to avoid new commercial entrances onto that road if possible. So this would leave the property frontage onto Universal for access in and out of the property.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Next up, we have 9C. OP 26-03-8 and ZN 8-2602 for 850 Juliana Drive. Mr. Miller.
Applications OP 26038 and ZN 82602, in the name of 1001295663 Ontario Inc. The subject lands are described as part lots 14, 17, and 18, concession 2, parts 1 to 4, 41R 6490 in the city of Woodstock. The lands are located on the south side of Juliana Drive between Norwich Avenue and Springbank Avenue, and do not have a municipal address. People often refer to them as 850 Juliana. The subject lands are currently designated regional commercial node in the official plan and are proposed to be redesignated to traditional industrial. The subject lands are currently zoned special regional commercial zone C66 and are proposed to be rezoned to special traditional industrial. Applications have been received to amend the official plan of the city's zoning bylaw to permit an industrial development that is proposed to contain 5 buildings with 16 individual units totaling 52,824 square meters. The subject lands are currently vacant and have recently been farmed. The zone change application proposes to rezone the subject lands from special regional commercial to special general industrial. Site-specific zone provisions are requested to reduce interior side yard widths and the setback from parking areas from 3 meters to 2.8 meters. Through the review process, the applicant has also agreed to limit permitted uses to reduce potential conflicts with adjacent regional commercial uses. The applicant has proposed to exclude the following uses from the site-specific zoning: a cartage express or truck terminal, a concrete batching or mixing plant, a feed mill, a flour mill, and a grain elevator. In support of the applications, the applicant has submitted a planning justification report, a traffic impact study, a market impact study, a functional servicing report, and a stormwater management report. Subsequently, county and city staff had the market impact study and traffic impact study peer reviewed. At this time, although the traffic impact study has not been finalized to the satisfaction of city engineering staff, the applicant and city engineering staff have indicated that any outstanding matters are not likely to impact the general land use changes proposed in these applications, and the study can be finalized through the site plan approval process. Following a review of the information submitted with the applications, planning staff are supportive of the requested official plan amendment to redesignate the subject lands from regional commercial node to traditional industrial. The subject lands on the south side of Juliana Drive are primarily utilized for industrial uses, while the lands on the north side are utilized for commercial uses. And the proposed industrial uses are anticipated to be compatible with surrounding development. The retail market study and subsequent peer review concluded that the site is less desirable for commercial uses due to its location with limited visibility from the traffic corridor of Norwich Avenue, the limited ability to serve localized retail service needs of the existing population, and those of potential future growth areas. The study and subsequent peer review also concluded that there remains significant vacant or underutilized commercial spaces within the city, and the redesignation of these lands will not jeopardize the city's supply of commercial space to meet current or future needs. Planning staff are supportive of the requested zone change application. The requested reductions to interior side yard width and setback from parking areas are very minor, equal to about 6 inches, and no impacts to adjacent properties are anticipated. Through the review process, the applicant has also agreed to limit the permitted uses to reduce potential conflicts with adjacent regional commercial uses. Planning staff are supportive of the proposed prohibition uses, and these will be included in the future site-specific zoning for the subject lands. Through the commenting process, MTO has indicated that a 4-meter wide road widening is required along the rear of the property line at the boundary with Highway 401. Prior to scheduling the public meeting, planning staff confirmed with the applicant that the proposed change in lot size would not impact their proposal or require additional zone change requests. The applicant confirmed that they were comfortable with the proposal moving forward as presented. This office is of the opinion that the proposed amendment to the official plan to accommodate the proposed development of the subject lands generally complies with the relevant policies of the official plan respecting traditional industrial uses, and the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is considered appropriate for the proposed development and can be given favorable consideration. As such, staff recommend that the city supports the application to amend the official plan to county council, and that city staff approve in principle the zone change.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the planner? Councilor Shanberg.
Yeah, again, through to Mr. Miller, I guess it's something you didn't mention in your report just now, but we talked about it at the public meeting, that there will likely be an intersection at an intersection at Longworth Lane and Juliana as this 214 Carson development progresses. And at that time, I also complimented the people from Carson 214 because of the amount of work they've already done in the city of Woodstock expansion and industrial property. But if you can confirm that the Longworth Lane likely intersection there at Juliana, because now it's kind of a T intersection.
Through the chair, the intersections are the bit of the traffic impact study that's currently being reviewed. Those intersections, so there's Longworth Lane and is it Montclair Crescent? So those will line up or come very close, but those are details that are currently being worked out with city engineering.
Thank you. Any other questions of the planner? Seeing none, thank you. Looking for a motion on the floor? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council advise Oxford County Council that the city supports the application to amend the official plan, file number OP 26038, submitted by 10012956663 Ontario Inc. for lands legally described as part lots 14, 17, and 18, concession 2, parts 1 to 4, 41R-6490, to redesignate the subject lands from regional commercial node to traditional industrial to facilitate an industrial development that is proposed to contain 5 buildings with 16 individual units on the subject lands, And further, that Woodstock City Council approve in principle the zone change application, file number ZN 8-26-02, submitted by 10012956663 Ontario Inc. for lands legally described as parts lots 14, 17, and 18, concession 2, parts 1 to 4, 41R-6490, industrial, in the city of Woodstock to rezone to subject lands to special traditional industrial zone, M3 SP, to permit an industrial development that is proposed to contain 5 buildings with 16 individual units on the subject lands. And further, that any comments received from the public were reviewed and considered before the decision was made in relation to this planning matter.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Lauder. Discussion or questions of staff? Seeing none? Okay, I'd just like to say I'm certainly going to be voting in favor of this. I think this is another great addition by 214 Carson Inc. They've been a great community partner. At the adding of over 500,000 square feet of additional industrial space is greatly needed by the proof of your other properties that have sold so quickly or leased so quickly. And certainly look forward to infilling another big chunk of land that has been sitting vacant for so many years. With that, I'll call the vote. Nobody else, just to be sure. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Next, we have consideration of correspondence. 10A, J.C. Field of Parkinson Society, Southwestern Ontario, request for mobile sign. Looking for a motion? Councillor Leatherborough?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the request from the Parkinson Society Southwestern Ontario to put up a temporary mobile sign for the walk for Parkinson's outside of Reeves Community Complex from August 22nd to September 8th, 2026, subject to staff approval.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tate, discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. And again, I always thank anyone that puts a request in for signage around the city, so we're aware of them. No presentations from staff, no mayor's report, no council reports, but we do have a number of department reports. Nothing from administrative services, but we do have engineering. So 14B1, Drew Street parking. Do I have a motion?
Sorry, I just had a question. Can we bring up forward 14E because we have somebody waiting in the gallery for that, if that's possible?
Yeah, if there's no problems from council? Seeing none, so 14, sorry, Councillor Tate, 14E1. So looking for a motion on the floor. Councillor Tate?
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approves a forgivable loan for new family physicians program guidelines under the city's community improvement plan.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lauder, discussion or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. There you go. Thank you for being here, Ms. Hans. So back to 14B1. Looking for Drew Street parking motion. Can I get a motion on the floor? Councillor Lauder?
Put it on the floor anyhow. I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve 2-hour on-street parking on the north side of Drew Street between Winnett Street and Oxford Street between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and that the necessary bylaw be prepared.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Leatherborough? Discussion or questions? Councillor Lauder?
Thank you. This has always been a bug of mine about the parking, and here we go again. And we've reduced it from 1.5 to 1.22. And I do feel bad for the people in the area that are living across the street and have came to us during the times that with this application came forward. But in hopes that this will help both parties, I'm sure it's not going to, there's not going to be, everyone's not going to be happy about it, but to try and accommodate as much as we can here. I was thinking of changing it to 10 o'clock to 6, but as Mr. Dehan said, that 8 to 6 is what's happening in most of the places, so keep it all consistent. So as much as I disagree with parking on the street, I will put the motion on the floor. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Shanberg.
Yeah, question from the mayor through to Mr. Dehan for engineering. I guess sometimes we have areas where in theory it'd be making sense that somebody maybe puts a placard on their windowsill or something that says that they're a PSW or they're there from Victorian Order of Nurses or something like that. Can we do something like that to assist the bylaw office? Or is that something that simply under best practices does not work?
Your worship, through the councillor, no, something like that doesn't work. We don't, it's public parking. We don't make parking for certain demographics. And also it would be impossible to actually confirm that they are a PSW or not. And, you know, it would start that, you know, people could easily make fake placards or whatever. So it's first come, first served public parking.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'll certainly add that I am going to support this. This is one of those that doesn't have any clear answers to make everyone completely happy either. I do understand there needs to be drop-offs and there is a lot of demand in the type of housing that is there in the entire neighborhood of needing some kind of additional parking, temporary, as Councillor Schanberg had mentioned. And for that reason, I'm going to support this. Councillor Lauder? Yep.
One question through you and to Mr. Dehan. If this passes tonight, at how long before the signs would go up to change this? Does it take a while again? Oh, I'm sorry.
Through the mayor to the councilor's question, we have a few on the list to do for this summer that are a priority, but we would certainly work to prioritize this location. I won't give you a firm date, but it would be done this summer.
So then along those same line, and I will put this to either of you gentlemen there. For those that are wondering then, when would it become effective? When the sign goes up? Just to confirm. Mr. Dehan.
Your worship, and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually not legally effective until both get passed, the bylaw and the sign are up. So both have to be in place.
Certainly makes sense. Okay, thank you for those staying at home or trying to park there. It's not legal yet. Wait for the signage. Okay. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next up, 14B2 amendments to traffic bylaws. Looking for a motion, Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Goodness. I move that Woodstock City Council refer the amendments to traffic bylaw 8021-04 to the bylaw section of the agenda, and further that City Council approve the allocation of $50,000 from the reserve capital projects 14009 to project INF 00196 traffic calming 11449 for implementation of the line markings and signage upgrades, and further that notice is hereby given that the 2026-2030 capital budget is amended accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tate. Discussion or questions? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Atroni, through you. to whomever wishes to answer it, probably Mr. DeHaan. This is a long list of changes from no parking to no stopping to, yeah, there's a long, long list. What is the strategy for a communicating out? Like we just talked about, it's not official until A, we pass the bylaw, and B, the signs go up. But we know that, people don't always see signs, and when they do see them, they don't always acknowledge the signs and behave accordingly. What is the communication plan to ensure that all this long list is broadcasted to the community? And then what is the enforcement plan for bylaw to ensure that early adoption is encouraged?
Your worship, through the counselor, we will be talking with the communication department. We don't have an exact plan in place yet. But certainly, we'll be using social media and and then especially right before school opens, we'll be doing a hard hit then, reminding everybody. And to be upfront right now, we're still, if you'll notice, this report only addresses some of the schools. We're still talking with some of the others. So we're hoping to have another report come in August with some more changes for more schools. So anyway, and then in terms of bylaw, yes, what we will be having, we will be circulating our bylaw officers out to the schools, both morning and afternoon. And we're also hoping that we will have the whole AMP up and running by that point in time. So that basically they'll be able to drive through the street, taking pictures of license plates and, be able to basically rattle off 10 tickets in less than a minute kind of thing. So, I think that'll be a big, no, the opposite of encouragement, or maybe encouragement or deterrent to not break, yes. So, when all of a sudden a week later, people start getting all those parking tickets in their mail, right, through the AMP. So that's kind of the two-prong approach we're going on there.
This is a follow-up then, as I may, and then like a year later, will you be able to kind of evaluate the success of, compliance?
We certainly, your worship, through the counselor, we certainly can. As mentioned in the report, we did work with the schools and with the new policy. So we're fairly confident that we're addressing what needs to be addressed here. But yes, if we see tweaks that need to be happen, we certainly will make them in a year from now. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Schanberg.
Yeah, maybe just fair warning, just as a comment to anybody that sort of lives on the north side of Piddock, because the brand new school, Turtle Island's on Knights Lane, and the word Knights Lane comes up many times in this report, as does, of course, Sebeski, which kind of wraps around the back of the school, Huntingford Trail, et cetera, just so for people to maybe take a look at this report to sort of see where stop signs or no parking signs will be getting installed fairly soon.
Maybe I'll just add to that. There is, this report specifically is Turtle Island Public School, Oliver Stevens Public School, College Ave Secondary School, Springbank Public School, and Eastdale Public School. So if you live in those neighborhoods, take notes, what is changing, because there's some significant additions to enforcement here to try to help the schools with the traffic stopping and drop-offs. Anyone else? With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. So again, I'd just like to thank staff, but I also like to thank the schools. They've been working together, talking about what the needs are, different ideas to see how we can help them and help traffic in the general areas working together. So thank you to our staff for doing this fairly quickly and getting this done before the school year starts. So please take notice. You will get tickets. Next up, 14B3 City Hall Sanitary Sewer Repairs Contract Award. This one smells. Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, motion that Woodstock City Council authorize a $86,000 increase to be funded by the Reserve for Capital Projects of Woodstock City Hall for the sanitary sewer repair, and further that Woodstock City Council award the tender for the Woodstock City Hall sanitary sewer repair to AP Hurley Construction and Emergency Services in the amount of $88,995.41, including HST, And further, that notice is hereby given that the 2026 to 2030 capital budget being amended accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Attorney, through you. I did notice that there were the top three bids were quite widely spread in their quotation and in their value, from 88,000, well, almost 89,000 to third place was 161,000. Is that kind of a spread not somewhat unusual? Like, I'd expect 15%, but this is significantly higher.
Your worship, through the councillor. It's not that usual, correct? But it, not to say that it doesn't happen also.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, call a vote. All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. And I did get a question asked today, while giving blood coincidentally. City Hall will be open during this time. Hopefully the public isn't gonna notice any differences. Welcome you to come to City Hall during this work. 14B4 RTU replacement for the library. It's a rooftop unit. Councillor Lauder, looking for a motion.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council authorize the $179,000 increase to be funded by the Reserve for Capital Projects for the Woodstock Library rooftop unit replacement, and further that council award the contract for the Woodstock Library rooftop unit replacement to Culleton Inc. in the amount of $422,846, inclusive of HST, and further that notice is hereby given that the 2026 to 2030 capital budget is amended accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Martin. Discussion or questions? Seeing none? Oh, Councillor Martin?
Just a super quick comment that for those of us who are on the library board, last year, this unit really limped through last summer. And heat waves like we had last week really do challenge a system like this. So it is in desperate need of replacement. And so happy to see that this is on the agenda tonight.
And maybe I'll just note, if I may, to be clear, that we've had it budgeted for a timeline for quite a long time, but this is to, fire alarm system, I believe, has to also be upgraded. I'm looking at the engineer, he's giving me a nod. That is correct. So that's why the additional money is needed coming out of reserves, because we're gonna replace that at the same time. So, anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed, that is carried. Next up, 14B5 for C12 Stormwater Management Facility Sediment Removal Tender Award. Something else stinky. Councillor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council award the 2026 contract number 13857 for the C12 Stormwater Management Facility Sediment Removal Project to Murray Mills Excavating and Trucking Limited in the amount of $1,174,194.30.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lauder. Discussion or questions? Councillor Schattenberg.
Just for anybody that lives in the, maybe a question through to our engineer, for anybody who lives sort of in the Finch area, where Trevor Slater Park is, will a lot of the growth and plants be removed as well, or is it mostly the pond area, which is kind of furthest on the north side that are where the dredging will take place?
Your worship, through the councillor, some vegetation already has been removed. But yeah, you're correct. Most of the work excavation will be at the north end, although there will be some additional vegetation that does have to be removed. But we try to keep as much as possible. We are trying to keep the buffer area in between the houses.
And I guess the follow-up question to that is, are people given notification and at least live around that pond, whether they back on there from Falcon Crescent or where they happen to live?
Your worship, through the counselor, I'm not sure what the limit of, some notification has been gone out, especially to those that are adjacent to the pond, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none? All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. Next up, 14B6 is the Reeves Community Complex generator replacements. Looking for a motion? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council authorize an additional $44,472 from the remaining funds in the Cowan Turf Project for the Reeves Community Complex Generator Replacement Project, and further that City Council approve the sole source selection of Summers Generator Systems for the 300 kW diesel emergency generator and 400A automatic transfer switch to be procured by Rose Zaire Electric Limited as part of the contract, and further that Woodstock City Council award a sole source contract to Rose Zaire Electric LTD in the amount of $362,820, excluding HST, for the supply and installation of the generator and automatic transfer switch and the associated electrical construction and installation work, and further that notice is hereby given that the 2026-2030 capital budget is amended accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tate. Discussion or questions? Councillor Schanberg.
Just really a comment this afternoon. I emailed Darren Hall. He's the operations manager at the community complex, and he essentially told me that the need for the increase in size of the unit is that they're adding the ability to run the systems, HVAC in particular, of golf gym, to be able to be used at the same time as the emergency reception center if the need arises. So you just figured that the assessment, as you can see from the report, we're actually getting a larger generator than what's currently in there. And sure, the building's 30 years old, but there's other reasons why they're going with a larger generator system.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Well, I do have a question then to our engineer. Anytime I see sole source, I always get a little concerned and question it and everything else. Do you mind explaining to the public why staff have going this way?
Your worship, yeah, in terms of the electrical company is very familiar. It's specialized equipment. It's high tech, and the company that's out there has been dealing with it. They know it in and out. So we thought it best to go with them. In terms of the generator, actually, the generator company, they've supplied all the city's generators. They're one of the best around in the country, if not North America. And luckily enough, they're just up the road in Stratford. So we get great service from them, and we've had no problems.
Agreed. Thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote? All those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. From nothing from cultural services tonight. Where are we? We're already done at economic development, so that brings us to clerks. 14F1, revised appointments to boards and committee policy. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the revised version of Council Policy GA005, appointments to boards and committees.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. So nothing from the CAO's office, Human Resources, Fire Services, Public Works, or IT. So that brings us to Special Committee and Advisory Task Force reports. So 15A 2026 funding requests. Looking for a motion, Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I move that Woodstock City Council approves the following allocation of funds from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund. Children's Aid Society, You Belong in Woodstock Family Connection Package Startup, $7,500. Woodstock and District Development Services Full Circle Community Breakfast Hub Equipment, $34,000. And United Way Oxford Supplies for Students 2026, $25,000.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Lauder, discussion or questions? Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
As one of the counselors that does sit on this task force, we had some great presentations that were given during the last meeting. If folks haven't had a chance to read the report or on the agenda, they're included in there as well. But I think that these are three individual asks that all are very important to our community. You know, I see the work that WDDS does especially, and that's not one that we often see coming our way, but the passion that the two presenters gave us was, you know, one that just shows just how important that this project is to them, and especially the folks that are involved at WDS. And for, you know, Oxford Supplies for Students, this is a program that's been running for a while, and the need is just continuing to grow and grow and grow, and finding those funds is becoming increasingly difficult. It is one of the projects that I had worked on in the past with United Way, and it is not an easy one to find these funds. And I think that these funds are going to support Woodstock families specifically, so folks don't think that this is going into a pot to just help all of Oxford County. These funds will go directly to supporting young people and their families or caregivers in Woodstock. And 25,000 doesn't even touch how much they really even need to help Woodstock alone, but this is an amount that they feel is a good start for them. And of course, folks are able to support Supplies for Students, however, and it is open now to accept donations, but they're also accepting registrations for folks that may need the support of Supplies for Students. So any families or caregivers who could benefit from this should get their applications in as soon as possible with United Way.
Thank you. Well said. Counselor Schattenberg.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that the United Way website's a place to go to see what a deadline might be to be sure that your family gets on the list. And the thing that I like about the United Way for Oxford, the Supplies for Students program, is they give you basically a gift card. So in other words, if your family's already got 7 backpacks in the closet, there's no point in getting another backpack with a bunch of pencil crayons on it to be able to go out and be able to spend what you need the money on, whether it be at Staples or Walmart or whether the other participating businesses.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the greatest changes they made. Counselor Lauder.
I fully support this, and I think that this is money well spent from the task force. And I just thanks for all the work that your committee has done on this. And yeah, I think this is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Martin. I don't know who's first there. Sorry, I was like both your hands.
Thank you. I'm just doing some rough math on the totals of these numbers, and I know that we have one more motion, but it's somewhere around 70-ish thousand. Will there be another intake, will the task force be looking at later in the year, looking at another, because I believe it's 150,000 available in total. Is there an intention for the committee to take a look at another intake?
Yes, I can certainly answer that through the Mayor's Task Force for Social Wellbeing. We will be accepting more asks. We have got a couple already minor asks that are being discussed, so we expect to get those probably by our September meeting in front of the entire task force for debate and presentation and discussions, and then of course coming to a following meeting after that, because there is approximately $70,000 left from the $150,000 set aside from the OLG funds the city gets. Yes, that answered that. Councillor Tate.
Just a comment through the chair. I just want to thank the task force. These are fantastic groups, and the amount of money that has been given, I fully support. It must be very difficult to pick when you presented this, and I know it's got to be tough. And as with all the cutbacks at the other levels of government, it's the least we can do. And as you mentioned, this money is coming from the slots. It's not coming directly from the taxpayers.
Okay, thank you. The clerk actually just showed me we have, if everything is approved this evening, we would have $86,500 to give away next intake. So, and ask the public community groups if you have things. We have highlighted 3 priorities but there's certainly, we'll look at other things. The three priorities being homelessness and housing, food insecurities, and youth are the three priorities of the task force for this term. Anyone else? Call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed? That is carried. Again, I want to thank everyone for their support and thank my fellow council members, Councillor Leatherbarrow and Councillor Wismer Van Meer for sitting on that and going through everything. Next up, I did declare a conflict for the next item, so I'll ask Acting Mayor Schattenberg to come forward and chair this part of the meeting.
Okay, as was noted on the agenda, there was 4 parts to 15A for this funding request. So we have a motion for the 4th item. Councillor Leatherbarrow?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council, that Woodstock City Council approves the following allocation of funds from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund, Welcome Child and Youth Mental Wellness, Youth Creative Arts and Wellness Studio Proposal, $3,900.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Tate? Any further discussion or questions on it? Even though I'm acting chair here for the moment and the mayor has left the room, maybe I'll ask Councillor Wismer Van Meer, Councillor Leatherbarrow to sort of explain what this project would be and what the sort of local connection can be for the youth of the city, since it's involving things like recorded music.
I'm gonna rock, paper, scissors this. Through you, Acting Mayor Schattenberg, this is through what we once originally knew as the Brightside Youth Hub, but is going to be known as the Youth Wellness Hubs. And this is just one aspect of what they're going to offer within that hub. So it kind of gives the young folks that are into the arts and cultures and music and such the ability to have the equipment and such that they need to get it started off. So if you do read if for those that are interested, if they read the report, it kind of talks about what we'll be offering there, including a studio that offers the opportunity to record music, vocals, spoken word and poetry, exploring songwriting and music production, learning audio engineering and digital media skills. So there's quite a few options in that, but this is the funds that they need to get that started. Councillor Lauder did ask me if it was enough of the funds to cover what they needed. According to them, this is what they need to start this. So they're very happy with this dollar amount, and I would encourage people to read what this is going to be offering, because it's much more inclusive than my little scratch notes that I just offered. I don't know if Councillor Leatherbarrow has some additionals to ask, but the youth hub is obviously still in the works of being developed and built and come to fruition. So this is just to help them as they continue to do that work.
Safe to assume there'll be much more great news coming up towards September and into the fall as far as the Youth Wellness Hub and how it's going to evolve at an interesting location in the city of Woodstock as well when more information comes out. Any more questions or comments? And we have a motion then? Oh, let's vote then. All those in favor? Passed unanimously, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Schattenberg. Oh, and I think you took my sheet. Thank you. Okay, no notice of motions. We do have a notice, or sorry, a new business, 17A. Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. I'll move that whereas the city of Woodstock provides it funds recreational facilities and programs primarily through local property taxes, user fees, and development charges collected within the municipality. And whereas residential growth in surrounding rural and neighborhood municipalities has increased reliance on Woodstock's recreational facilities by non-residents whose municipalities do not offer comparable facilities and programs. And whereas property taxes and development charges paid by these non-residents are collected outside the city of Woodstock and do not contribute to the capital or operating costs of these facilities. And whereas recent participation data indicates a notable proportion of participants in city recreation program are non-residents, including 17% of registrants in summer camp and recreation programs and 23% of participants in aquatics and learn to swim programs. And whereas this circumstance creates an imbalance whereby Woodstock taxpayers bear a disproportionate share of the cost associated with facilities and programs that serve a broader regional population. Now therefore be it resolved that council directs staff to prepare a report outlining options for the introduction of higher fees for non-residents assessing city recreation facilities and programs, along with associated financial, administrative, and service impact considerations for council's consideration. And that is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Tate.
Thank you. I was going to ask for a seconder. Discussion, Counselor Lauder, would you like to just?
I've requested this motion, and it's pretty well self-explanatory for the staff to come back with a report on the feasibility of checking with different municipalities and how they're handling this, or how this would implications that it might cause. I'm just asking for a report. I'm not saying that this will happen. I think that it's time that we do study this, and because of our recreation, especially the pools, you hear so much about that there's a lineup and can't get people get in there. So I think that this is something that is at this time should come forward. I know I've talked to different municipalities, well, a couple I should say, that they are having this, they're doing this. Tilsonburg is added fees there, and Aylmer, and I talked to St. Thomas today, and along with our own clerk has said that this is coming up often at the training courses that they've been at and at conferences. So that's why I've brought this forward.
Thank you. Counselor Tate.
Through the chair, as a seconder, I want to thank Councillor Lauder for bringing this forward. As she's indicated also, I'm not sure once the report comes back if I would support additional fees, but I'm curious to see what comes in the report. I believe Tilsonburg, they add 15% to non-residents, but it'll be interesting to see what's happening in other municipalities. I don't want to be one of the first that does it, because I don't know if you're opening a whole can of worms with us using other facilities in different areas in Oxford County, but I look forward to the report.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Leatherworm.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do have an amendment. If I can read it and see if I get a seconder, then I'll speak to it.
Sure.
The amendment is read as such. Now therefore be it resolved that council directs staff to prepare a report outlining options for the introduction of higher fees for non-residents accessing city recreation facilities and programs, along with associated financial, administrative, and service impact considerations, and to investigate potential financial partnership arrangements with surrounding municipalities, including the feasibility of annual contributions from those municipalities to support the costs of recreation facilities and programs used by their residents for council's consideration.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Counselor Martin, discussion, Counselor Leatherborough, would you like to speak to this?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just additionally, on top of this motion, I think that, while staff are already investigating, I think it was already brought up through the clerk, I think that's what Councillor Lauder said, at conferences that we've attended to, sitting in front of provincial ministers, they've been asking us if we have done partnerships investigating, certainly being in a two-tier structure. So I just thought perhaps for the future, if this is a report, it would make sense to look at all options and see what comes back for council's consideration.
Thank you. Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I fully support the amendment. When Councillor Leatherborough called me earlier this week to talk about this, we had a really good recollection conversation about when we were at Roma and then the previous AMO, which is almost a year ago. And we were in delegations with Parliamentary Assistant Natalie Pierre, who is in the Ministry of Sport. And one of the things she very specifically asked us was, have we had conversations with our neighboring municipalities about a shared cost arrangement? I'm sure it was phrased in a more eloquent way, but she had specifically asked us, because we will be and have been asking the province for funding for our future recreation facility. And she indicated to us that we need to be looking at out-of-the-box solutions to our financial needs. And this was one of her suggestions. So I fully appreciate that Councillor Leatherborough did the work on putting the words together for this amendment. Because I think that if we're going to do a report, let's do a fulsome report and have as much information in front of us as possible for whether it's our consideration or the next term of council's consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Wismer Van Meer?
I'll echo kind of part of what Councillor Martin said, and just the more options or the more opportunities to add it to it, I don't think is a negative thing. I think having multiple opportunities in front of council to decide whether it's this term or next term is never a bad thing. And I know that it was noted at Roma again about neighboring municipalities, especially in such a large rural community like Oxford County. So the original motion I completely support as well, and this amendment I think is just some more, is just additional aspects that could be added that would be beneficial for considerations.
Thank you. Counselor Tate?
Just through the chair, just for historical, back when the original complex was built, the foundation did exactly do this, so it's not something new. And the answer was no. And as a sitting councillor, when I am voting for stuff for my taxpayers, my answer would be no too. So like Ingersoll could come to us and ask us to contribute to their arena, and I'm gonna guess the answer is gonna be no. So I did talk to staff about this amendment, and a lot of concerns with it, because what would happen if we decided that we want the municipalities to pay instead of the residents, then we're gonna end up in a huge mess, because now we're gonna have more non-residents because they're not actually gonna pay. And as I said before, I don't know when it originally, if it comes back, I'll support it, but I can't support the amendment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Lauder?
Thank you. I also will not be supporting the friendly amendment, and speaking with staff and previous treasurer, I have come to the conclusion this is not an idea I wish to entertain at this time. I think that I agree with what Councillor Tate has said, that this could open the door for more people coming here. We're right at this time, we don't have the facilities for the swimming pool and the arenas, like, it's not something I think that we should be going to other or outlying municipalities, even if they would consider it. As has been said, that they tried that before, that didn't work. And so I just will not be supporting it at this time. I would like to see this other report come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Schanberg?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're discussing this a little bit too early or not without the specific concrete plans on building a new pool and a fourth ice arena in the city of Woodstock. But one thing can be said for sure, those facilities, the chances of them happening become almost slim and zero without a good fundraising project, and a fundraising project that includes receiving, say, something in the range of $1 million from Southwest Oxford and Blandford Blenheim and East Ora Tavistock to assist us in building those facilities based on the fact that many of the user groups will be coming from those communities. So therefore, I guess it's probably good to see a full report or a fulsome report, as Councillor Martin refers to it as, is to be able to see it's the starting point. That way we could actually knock on the door of Southwest Oxford and say, if we build a fourth arena in the city of Woodstock, and many of your youth will be users in that facility, will you write us a check for $1 million to help us build it? And of course, that still doesn't scratch the surface of an $80 million project.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Well, I'm going to add that I am going to support the amendment. I think, as Councillor Schattenberg and other councillors just mentioned, I think leaving all options on the table right now with looking at a price tag of $80 to $85 million for another development, you just never know. With conversations, I believe it's August 19th, scheduled to sit down with the minister again to talk about more possible partnerships with the province. And I would love to be able to say that we're working on possible partnerships with our townships. It's not for me to decide if it's going to be successful or not, but I'd like staff the opportunity to put something together that we can at least present to them and with hopes of support. So for that reason, I will be supporting the amendment. Councillor Leatherborough.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just one final clarification for Councillor Tate or Councillor Lauder. Did you say that staff were concerned or that you were concerned as an elected official? I just wanted to clarify that to whomever.
When I talked to staff,
Councillor
was-
Lauder. Yeah.
there was concern, so.
Yeah. Councillor Tate.
Through the chair, yes, there was concern from staff.
Thank you. Anyone else before I call the vote on the amendment? I might add. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 4-3. I guess that brings us to the main motion. Any other considerations? That's done then. Actually, that's approved. No, we got to go back. Now we're going back to the amended motion that's originally on the floor. Any other comments or questions on that? Councillor Martin.
Just wanted to quickly say that I didn't get to say it earlier before the amendment hit the floor. I do appreciate that you've brought this forward, Councillor Lauder. Again, the province is asking us to take a look at financial sources of revenue for recreation. And so bringing this forward and getting it on the table, I do very much appreciate.
Thank you. Anyone else? I too would like to add thanks to Councillor Lauder. We had some good discussions, and no, I've kind of gone back and forth a couple of times on the amendments, ultimately deciding on the amendments. I want to say that I've certainly supported this for a while. I think this is something we've had to look at this term at council, and I'm glad we'll have the opportunity to have staff bring a wholesome report to look at those numbers. Anyone else before I call the vote on the whole motion now? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried 4-3. And that brings us to draft bylaws. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Schattenberg, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9833-26, a bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 8021-04 as amended. 9834-26, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, ZN 82615, County of Oxford. And 983526, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 862610 as amended, ZN 8-26-11, City of Woodstock.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with those? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, those are carried. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Schadenberg, that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading: 9833-26, 9834-26, and 9835-26.
Thank you. Last chance. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? Those are carried, none opposed. And that brings us to questions and addresses. And tonight we're going to start with Councillor Schadenberg. I think you've been last couple of last times.
As many of you know, the under-13 baseball nationals will take place again in Woodstock and again in Southside Park again. So there'll be top youth baseball teams coming from coast to coast to Woodstock on August 20th to 23rd. So if you want to know why I'm asking about this or asking about it 6 weeks early, well, they are looking for volunteers in many different areas to get the players, in this case, to Southside Park. Jeff Gilson, and everyone knows the Gilson family, he's taken on the sort of the chore of coordinating the transportation of all the teams. So there'll be buses or small rented vans as well to be able to take teams from the ballpark to the hotels, back to the airport, et cetera, et cetera. So if you'd like to be able to volunteer for that, Jeff Gilson is the one to contact, GILS, and then can at gmail.com. Also want to give a bit of a plug to Scott Rumble. He's a WCI grad like I am. He's also a grad at the University of British Columbia and the Western Ontario University. But what he is not a football player like our mayor was, but he's an opera singer. And he's had the opportunity now to be able to go sing at the Puccini Opera coming up in August. It's called the Daegu International Opera Festival. And actually, it's in October, not August. He's going to be playing the part of Prince Caliph and in a musical of a Puccini opera. So scottrumble.com is the website to check for more information on his career as well. And I think he still lives in Woodstock as well, does Scott. And also want to let everyone know that November 27th to December the 6th, our economic development manager, Brad Hammond, will be at Theater Woodstock across the street. He'll be taking part in A Christmas Story. And you can let everybody know right now, Brad, what role do you have in A Christmas Story this year for theaterwoodstock.com?
Well, in 3 words, ho, ho, ho. And I could also say, you'll shoot your eye out.
Mr. Hammond is Santa Claus. That's all for me today.
That's what I would have guessed. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
I don't have a lot to say this evening. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, so my brain is clicking into vacay mode. So I hope we won't see you till halfway through August. I hope everybody enjoys the next month of summer, stays cool. Looking forward to Street Fest coming up next week and enjoying some of those festivities and lots of other fun things that will be taking place between now and August 13th before our next meeting. So we will see you all then.
Yes, thank you. Enjoy. Councillor Lauder. Oh, and may I add, happy birthday a couple of days ago as well. Yesterday. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. Yesterday, I assisted at the Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament at Craiggowan. It was a great success. I was a spotter for the hole-in-one, which I have done for several years. I have yet to see anyone win the $10,000, and there was even some of our own Pete staff there, and I couldn't even cheat for them. So they I hope that it wasn't them that would win at the time. I almost got hit by one of the balls, though, that came from the.
That was staff, I'm sure. Yeah.
And Southgate Charity Golf Classic is being held on September 17th at Ingersoll Golf Club. Scramble format, carts, snacks, lunch, and dinner prizes, an auction. Put a team together or just come join with a group. Registration is at Southgate. And Cownfield's pickleball courts. Grand opening, this celebration is Saturday, July the 11th, 10 a.m. to 12. And the disc golf opening is being held on Thursday, July the 16th, 2:30 to 4 at the Piddock Conservation Area. So there's lots happening, so just come and join in. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Counselor Tate?
I want to thank Counselor Shattenberg for mentioning Scott Rumble. He's from a longtime Woodstock family, fantastic people. His mom worked for the police station for years. I talk to his uncle every day down at cemetery. So when Scott is back in town, he actually volunteers down there and helps with the grounds. Doesn't get paid, but fantastic kid. I want to thank staff for July 1st. I am so impressed. It was so hot. But all the staff that volunteered that day was amazing. It couldn't have happened without them. And to the park staff, the park is absolutely spectacular. There was so many comments about the butterfly, and it was something to see, well worth all the money. So I don't know how other cities do it with the volunteers, but I don't know how we would have done it if staff hadn't taken the day to spend with all the residents of Woodstock. So job well done. And then after our last meeting, when we did the naming of the streets, and we did Cat Pierce, so my neighbors are down the street, it was her grandfather. She had a book that she was telling me about. All this was yesterday. So she gave it to me just to borrow, but it's really interesting read. It's a lot of the historical background of the Y in Woodstock. And the number of people in this, everybody, most people from Woodstock would recognize, a lot of former mayors and politicians all did fundraising, because I always said with um, running for election is public service, and a lot of us did volunteer work beforehand. So it was really interesting, even going way back, all these people did volunteer work and did stuff, and then they ended up on council. But one really interesting part, considering we've been talking about the complex, and as I said before, the original complex was community driven and all that money was raised. So way back, and it was in the 1961, they erected the building, but on the strength of cash and gift pledges amounting to $460,000, they erected the building worth more than $500,000 in Woodstock. And I think that is quite an accomplishment. It's the same with Lions Pool. All that money came from the residents. But the important part maybe for the women around this table, on February 14th, 1962, the board received the first women on the board, and one of them was Marnie Tatham. So it was really interesting reading all this and seeing that, and then women were never allowed on the board until 1962. So if anybody ever gets a chance to see this book in the library, it is fascinating. And thanks to our residents. That's it.
Well said. Thank you. Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. July is my favorite, with the exception of the heat, July is my favorite month of the year. And I think that hails back to growing up on a farm. And as I drive around Woodstock and outside of Woodstock, to see the wheat fields are turning this beautiful golden color. The corn is growing inch by inch. You might not know this, but this is the time of the year that if you go out and you stand in a cornfield and it's really quiet, you can actually hear the corn growing. It makes a sound. And that while we've been sitting here, my my young adult sent me a text saying that there's 3 cobs of sweet corn waiting for us when I get home tonight, because sweet corn is in season. So another reason why July is one of my absolute favorite times of year. I do want to mention that Southwestern Public Health is conducting, in cooperation with the University of British Columbia and Health Canada, a study on extreme heat. And so this is, they're targeting parents of children under the age of 6 that live within the Southwestern Public Health region, which is Oxford County. It's a 60 to 90-minute interview in person or by phone, along with a short intake survey. And if you participate, there is a $50 gift card upon completing the survey. So this research really does help inform our future actions around heat and how it impacts our health, our work, and our daily life. The final pardon me, thing that I wanted to mention is next Wednesday, While it is being hosted by the county, it is being hosted right here in Woodstock. The Homelessness Support Center that is being proposed, there is a public meeting next Wednesday evening. I believe that's July 15th, and it is being held at Southgate. So for people who wish to have their input on the facility, the safety, the security, and all the features and learn more about that, I encourage people to attend. I know I will be there to hear people's questions, comments, and concerns.
Yes, thank you. Counselor Leatherborough.
I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their evening, and I can't wait for Street Fest next weekend.
Short and sweet. A lot of things have been mentioned that I planned on. I would love to bring attention to the July and August What's on Woodstock magazine. Make sure you keep a copy of this. Inside is our special 125th anniversary. Again, on July 1st, 1901, the city became, the town of Woodstock became the city of Woodstock. To think 125 years ago, they had the foresight and decision-making to put sewers in and water and make the city what it is today. For those that were out on Canada Day, I want to thank them. It was hot. It got a little wet for about an hour, and then it got really busy again. So it was a great day, all things considering. Kim Mitchell and his crew was fantastic. For those that may not even be aware, but during the storm, he lost 2 keyboards and an amp. He was committed to still playing, and he went on stage as soon as we got the power up and running. And I want to thank staff for making all the attempts. Our Public Works and our Parks and Rec team were out with their blowers trying to dry everything and make it the most enjoyable. So thank you to staff, and as well as the contractors and the audio crew for making the show go on. To the Butterflies, if you haven't had the opportunity yet, get down to Southgate Center. They are absolutely beautiful. They turned out even better than anybody could imagine. So get out, grab some photos, and it's just another hat in our Parks and Rec for the outstanding flowers and everything this year. So just great job, great job. Street Fest was mentioned. I'm going to be excited to be downtown Woodstock here next weekend, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Bring your throwing arm. I'm going to be in a few dunk tanks at a couple of different events throughout the Friday and the Saturday. I've been told there's not going to be heated water, so I'm hoping at least it'll be warm out. And it probably get wet. And on the 19th is the car show. Everybody knows I'm a car guy. I'm really excited to be helping to judge again this year. So I'll be out all day doing what I love and talking to owners of cars and exploring. So get out. We got lots going on here in the city of Woodstock. Inside the magazine, of course, gives you some upcoming events. Stay tuned. I never like hearing there's nothing to do here in the city of Woodstock, because my calendar will suggest otherwise. We've got anywhere from 10 to 15 events virtually every weekend somewhere going on here in the city of Woodstock. So enjoy. Remember, kids are at home. They are playing now outside. Slow down, be careful, watch for bicycles and everything. And let's make sure everybody has a safe and fun summer. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Do you mind if I just add one more piece that I did forget? And I know my son
Not at
would be super disappointed if I don't bring this up. The grand opening of the pickleball courts at Cowan Fields, that's this Saturday. I bought my family a set of 4 to start playing pickleball. So far, they've gone out 3 times without me. So glad I invested in that. But the thing that my family and my very dear friends are super excited about, and they've already been out there probably 100 times, is the disc golf course at Piddock. They have done, I've never played disc golf, so I'm going off of my son and my husband, but they have raved about how incredible this course is and saying that it will probably want to be one of the best courses in Ontario. It's already bringing hundreds of people into Woodstock to play. That's how dedicated people are to the sport, and they review it online. So this course is going to get very busy, and kudos to the parks and all of those, Phil Visser's group who helped in the construction. This disc golf is going to be very popular, bring a lot of people to our city, and we should be very proud of it. So it's going to do very well, and I know my son is super excited. So on behalf of my family, thank you for giving me some break from my family at times. But yes, great job. Well done.
Well, thank you. Counselor Schadenberg actually gave me the wrong thing. I think I had some notes on that one. I did want to remember to talk about the disc golf grand opening on July 16th, as well as pickleball on Saturday morning. I'll be there at 10 a.m. And yes, I'll be playing another match. This will be my third game played. I look forward to that. Come out, watch, just don't laugh. All right, looking for a motion to adjourn. Counselor Martin, second by Counselor Leatherborough. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Have a great night, everybody. See you August 13th at our next meeting.